Hi guys, welcome back to Chit Chat. Today we'll be talking about cold cases like a 2 times 4 attack. Who struck Jenny Pratt in the head, causing permanent brain damage?
16-year-old Pratt of Carlsbad, California, had hopes of one day becoming a model. In 1987, she was pretty popular and a sophomore at her local high school. But what mattered most to Jenny was her boyfriend, Curtis Croft. Curtis drove a Porsche, had plenty of money, and was a good-looking surfer. As far as Jenny's mother, Diane Strom, knew he was just a year older than Jenny.
Against her parents' wishes, Jenny went out with Curtis on the night of April 25th, 1987. He borrowed a friend's motorcycle and promised Jenny that he would get her back before her midnight curfew. Jenny never made it home. That night, Jenny Pratt was struck in the back of the head with an unusual weapon, a heavy wooden board, 6.5 feet long, swung by someone in a passing vehicle. Police speculate this silence were local teenagers. Jenny's parents hope that someone will finally have the courage to step forward with the truth.
On the night of the attack, Jenny's parents received a call that their daughter had been airlifted to a nearby hospital. They said our daughter had been in an accident. I said, "Is she okay?" They wouldn't tell me anything, only that we'd have to come down. Scripps Medical Center in La Jolla, California, takes only the most severe cases. When Jenny's parents arrived, they were given the worst possible news. Their daughter was brain dead and possibly had only hours to live. Dr. Jerry Stangham said that the blow from the board that struck her was great enough to actually crush the skull and cause immediate shutdown of her brain. Diane Strom was horrified when she finally saw Jenny. They said I could see her, and what I saw was horrible. Her hair was red from all the blood. She was bleeding out of her nose, her ears, her mouth. She had tubes all over her, and it was like her whole body was just distorted. Miraculously, Jenny survived, but she lapsed into a deep coma. Sergeant Jim Byler of the Carlsbad Police Department was one of the officers involved in the investigation. He said our first involvement in the case was to examine the evidence that was found at the crime scene, which consisted of the 2x4 that was used to hit Jenny and Curtis. So we examined that for physical evidence and didn't find any fingerprints. There were some bloodstains on it, which was determined to be Jenny's. Curtis was interviewed that same day at a police station. His account of what happened basically was that he was giving Jennifer a ride home and they were driving down Rancho Santa Fe Road, getting ready to make a left turn. Curtis remembers that night vividly. He said we were just approaching the intersection, going pretty slow, and all of a sudden something struck me. And I just go, "Ow, what was that?" It hurt really bad, and the car zoomed by. I turned around to tell Jenny that someone threw something at me or something. I didn't know what happened. She was out of it, and so I just thought, "Oh my God, what's happening?" Sergeant Jim Byler pieced the rest of the evening together based on Curtis' descriptions. He said that we believe it was a case that there were a truckload of juveniles that had committed this crime. The white pickup truck went by them at a high rate of speed. Curtis had the impression that there was a large group of juveniles in the back, that they were laughing as they went by, and that the board came flying from the pickup truck. Quite frankly, we expected it to be a crime that would be solved just by the nature of juveniles having a tendency to talk. But to this date, we have yet to have anybody come up and supply us with any direct knowledge of what happened that night.
Jenny's parents hired private investigator Louis, who interviewed students at Jenny's high school. He surmised that Curtis was the target of the incident, not Jenny. 2 years ago, before the attack, Curtis had been convicted of dealing cocaine. By operating with the police, he had several less than half of his sentence. Sergeant Jim said he developed his reputation as a snitch where he got himself in trouble. And young people, particularly young people involved in drugs, tend to look down on somebody who develops their reputation. Police investigated several people who might have had a grudge against Curtis. They learned that he had confronted one of his enemies on the night before the attack. Jenny's parents believed that the boy he confronted might have attacked Curtis and Jenny because of the argument. According to Curtis, the white pickup truck was traveling too fast for him to see the attackers. He said it went by at about 55 miles an hour. Louis didn't believe Curtis. Using mannequins as stand-ins for Jenny and Curtis, Louis reconstructed the incident at 2 different speeds. He said, "We used the identical pickup as far as the model year and the size and the same type of motorcycle, and we used the same conditions. There's no way it could have happened the way he said."
In the 55-mile-an-hour reconstruction, the board swung by the assailant fell about 50 feet from the scene of the crime. But after the accident, police found the board only a few feet from the spot where Jenny was attacked. The second reconstruction played out at only 10 miles an hour. The mannequin sustained injuries very similar to the ones Curtis and Jenny actually received. At this time, the board fell right next to the motorcycle. Chris Safi felt that Curtis did actually see the people in the pickup truck. He pressed him for more information, and then finally Curtis named the names. One of them was the same boy he had fought with on the night before the attack. Later, Curtis recanted telling the police that he had given them the names because he felt pressured. The truck went by really fast, and the people tried to say, "Maybe I saw someone," but I really didn't. And we've done lie detector tests on me. I've passed everything. I've told the truth. I've always been there to help. I've always caved to everything they wanted me to do and cooperated with everything. The police still remain skeptical. We do believe that Curtis did, in fact, see those people. He continuously told us that he has been threatened and that he basically informed on people before and was very, very frightened that he would be killed. And he was already being threatened not to talk in the case. And we have reason to believe that what he's saying to the effect is true. Amazingly, 3 months after the attack, Jenny Pratt came out of her coma. At first, she seemed incapable of thought or action, but after 12 weeks, she started physical therapy. 7 months later, Jenny began to speak. A year later, she could walk. Jenny Pratt can't understand who would be motivated to commit such a brutal attack. Why was somebody mad at me? What did I do to them to hurt them? Police said we need somebody in the community with half the courage of Jennifer Pratt. Somebody who just knows the one missing link. The one thing that will tie this whole case together. Because I really think that all we're missing is one small link and someone out there has it. Okay, that's it. We get all of our information from the site unsolved.com.
Thank you for listening. Once Jenny's parents found out about Chris's age and how he had been in jail for drugs, they had forbidden her from meeting him. Bye.
Bye.